Hi, Nick. Thank you for coming to BizTalk. How are you today?
Hi, Max. Thank you for having me. I'm fine. Perfect weather. I'm very happy to be with you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your time. So, before talking about Easy, shall we talk a bit about yourself? A short introduction.
Yeah, I'm very modest, but okay, yes, of course. I'm very long in the internet. I think I could call myself a veteran. It's already 98. I started with internet. I'm engineer as a background, and so I was always fascinated with technology. And in 98, when it started, maybe some will remember that the Google was founded in 98. I had also my first contact with the internet and set up my first internet company, which was a classified platform in Europe. Very successful, Scale 24. Now a billion company, public. And after that, I built it up with a team. And but in 2010, I exited and started investing myself in internet. And I was lucky enough to get to another company which was very successful, a French company. This was in car distribution over the internet. Online car distribution was bought by Peugeot in 2016 and went public last year for 1 billion. So I had a quite successful experience with the internet, but since 98, I was always quite unsatisfied with the internet because I saw it as a large dictionary, a lot of stuff, a lot of offers, a lot of products, a lot of information, but very hard to get to the core of this information, which is relevant for me or for everyone. So my idea already in 98 was to change this paradigm and to bring, the internet to the user instead the user going to the internet. And this was, and this, of course, by technology making a personal internet. So this idea in 98, at last in 2017, I got to get on the way. And taking artificial intelligence and taking psychology, I created a service which is called Easy, and now is a company that helps to filter and aggregate every information which is in the internet and tailor it to the single user. And what we have focused very much is lifestyle experiences. So today you can go to TripAdvisor, you can go to OpenTable, you can go to Booking.com and so on. And you have listings, these blue links that have become a nightmare in the internet. And what we are doing is taking all this data, filtering them, and then match them to the single user. And we match them by artificial intelligence algorithms, but also taking into account the profile of the user from a psychological point of view. Because you don't want to do some stuff if you have a bad mood, and you would do other stuff if you are in a different situation, emotional situation. So we blended artificial intelligence and psychological models to create a new service where you're not overwhelmed anymore by the thousands or millions of offers, but you get exactly what is matching you and what is perfect for you.
Thank you. Can we talk more in details about this way to personalize internet?
Yes, of course. So Easy, at the very end, it's a recommendation engine, which is based on artificial intelligence. And as I was saying, psychological profiling. And what we do is we take data from several sources. We are very broad. We have partner platforms as I was mentioning before, Booking.com, Ticketmaster, TripAdvisor, those companies have data and of course have their listing. But what we do is we take those data and then we filter it and customize it to the profile of the single user. For example, you're in New York or you're in London and you want going out in the evening. And what you do typically today is to go to Google or to go to OpenTable to look for a restaurant or to look for a concert or a theater or some event in the city. What we are doing is we take into consideration your personality, your profile, and suggest to you what to do in the evening, but not only in the evening, also in the weekend. Actually, during the day, we do what a personal assistant, or to use a very old-fashioned term, a butler is doing, organizing and planning your day in order for you to enjoy and not having the effort and the time to invest to find out what is best for you, not only for you, but also for your friends. Because of course, you're not going to the restaurant alone. Most of the times you want to go with your friends, you want to share with your friends. And Easy is a service, is an app where in a chatbot, in a relationship with the user, gets your evening organized or your weekend organized, and at the same time, allows you to simplify the organization with your friends, so that at the very end, you and your friends are enjoying a beautiful day, a beautiful time, and therefore at the end of the day, you're happier.
I mean, in terms of a system, this is a pushing system, or how to go to application and say, tonight I want to go for dinner and I am in New York?
Actually, it's both. You tell Easy that you are, for example, in New York. And then you have two modes. You have the Inspire mode and you have the Browse mode. So if you don't really know what you want to do for the evening, you go on the Inspire mode. And Easy takes into account several parameters, of course, your personality, your preferences. Easy doesn't send you to a Japanese restaurant if you don't like sushi. But also other parameters, like what are the highlights on that day in New York, or how is the weather, and blend all these together, mix this up together, and then recommends you few alternatives. And I'm saying few because we are taking into account thousands of possibilities what you could do in New York that evening. And by your profile and by these factors, we reduce the recommendation number to very few recommendations that are matching you. And we show this with a matching percentage, which can go, of course, from 100% if it's a perfect match to lower percentages, so that you know that this recommendation fits you and therefore has a high probability for the user to be accepted.
I'm very curious, on the collecting data from the internet, so theater, where they are, is pretty understandable. How do you profile the psychological and personal profile of each of your users?
Yes, okay, it's an ongoing process. When you install the app, Easy, you go through a very short questionnaire. And these questionnaires is based on a profiling model, which is accepted since decades in psychology, which is called Ocean, and takes into account some personality features. Ocean stands for openness, consciousness, empathy, and agreeableness and neuroticism. So those are dimensions of every personality. So with these questions, we put every user to start with into a macro profile. So based on that, we know already some of the expectations or the characteristics of the user. Over time, the user using the app will learn more and more about the attitude and about the expectations of the users. So it's a continuous process based on a scientific basis, and that helps us to identify the user. So, for example, an extrovert user that is in a bad mood, because mood is another very strong driver of the decision what to recommend to the user, is possibly someone who would like to go out and enjoy in order to get back to a good mood. An introvert person in a bad mood is more kind of person that prefers to stay at home and possibly watch a movie with a partner. So all these characteristics, all these features are factored in order to optimize the recommendation to the user. And we do it in a friendly way because, of course, sometimes psychology and especially artificial intelligence are a little bit scary for people. So we have created profiles that correlate to what we call pets. So pets, we have 5 pets, which are the 5 macro categories of profiling we have on the Easy app. And those pets, there is, for example, Owly, or there is, for example, Monkey or Tiggy. Those pets get into a conversation with you in the app in a chatbot. So you are interacting with your pet, which is your alter ego, which is your profile, and therefore you create a relationship with the app through the pet that enhances the trust of the user. And the trust is very important for us because, of course, if you trust someone, then you do what is recommended.
I mean, I'm very curious. How do you capture the daily mood? I mean, for example, myself, it would be a nightmare for your algorithm. I change mood any hour sometimes.
That's true. That's true. And therefore, at the moment, this is something that in this chatbot interaction, we are asking the user. We record over time then the mood swings of the users. But, in the first sessions, I would say in the first month or 2 months, we are asking the user during the day when the user opens the app, when the user uses the app, what mood you are, and therefore, and on this the app reacts either immediately with a recommendation, which is according to the mood, or ask few other questions in order to, define in a more detailed way the recommendation that has to be given. For example, going to a restaurant or staying home or watching a movie or cooking something together. On Easy, you have all the categories of the daily experience of people. You can have recipes for cooking something at home. You have home movies. You have fitness programs. You have then restaurants, clubs, concerts, theater, sport event, so that, out of this, which is the experience of every one of us every day, there is someone, Easy, your pet, who is like your butler, who is planning your day so that you have a more fulfilled day, a better day. And as I was saying before, at the end of the day, you're happier because you have done more of the things you like with the people you like.
So if I open you up, maybe the first question is going to be, how are you today? How do you feel?
Exactly. It's the pet asking you. It's like a friend. When you meet a friend and say, how are you doing? And we want to create this, personal relationship with the user. This is very important for us.
I do believe that's the very right path to go. I have to be honest, anytime I talk to any application, I try to conversate so many, it's annoying. I mean, after 1 second, I say, I give up. That's too much. Because it's obvious the feeling to talk to a robot, which is not a nice feeling at all. So I do believe creating alter ego, which you are not talking also, but actually creating some kind of relationship can work much better.
Yeah, and this is why we decided at the very beginning to use the chatbot. It's a very visual chatbot because we have a dialogue, a conversation with the user, but on the same time, the recommendation is very visual. For example, if you have a restaurant, you have displayed all the pictures of the restaurant. If you have a movie, for example, or cinema movie, then you have a trailer that automatically plays and shows you that this is the recommendation you should, as a matter of fact, execute. And we have added recently, not only now the conversation, because the point you are saying is a relevant one. At some point of time, even if you do it very well, it sounds, if you talk to something which is not a human, a real human, it sometimes sounds a little bit mechanic. And as you were saying, a robot. We don't want to be a robot. So we added now to the chat bot feature also the chat among the users. That means I get a recommendation. Typical case, our target segments are mainly young couples that are living in large cities. So New York, Seattle, Los Angeles, London, Paris, and so on. So these young couples, most of our main targets are the so-called DINGs, double income, no kids. So it's people who have a professional life, who are very busy, very engaged, and normally don't have the time to plan or to optimize planning. I'm not saying they're not planning, but optimize planning, because most of the time you come too late and say, oh, I would have done this, but there are no tickets, for example, for this concert or for this performance. Or, oh, I didn't know that they opened this new restaurant. I would have liked to go there, but unfortunately, I missed it. So what Easy is doing for these couples is to make a plan or to inspire to plans that really make the free time of a couple much more enjoyable. And and this chat that now we have introduced is a very useful tool, because typically one of for example, one of the partners is getting a recommendation of going to a cinema, and of course you can invite directly your partner. But with the chat, you have now the chance to say, look, I've got this. I think it's very good. Why don't we go there tonight? And by the way, Easy can then organize also the restaurant after the cinema or before the cinema, matching it from the location and from the preferences of both partners. And then you start a conversation. We see it in our records. That people start saying, oh, that's a movie I wanted to watch long time. Oh, that's perfect. Let's go tonight. And what about having a drink after that? And Easy is supporting this, and at the same time making everything very executable, because you can book directly. Then you decide to go to the cinema, you can book the tickets directly, and you can pay directly, because Easy has also an integrated payment system, which is we call it Easy Card, but it's a debit card at the very end. We are doing in cooperation with Stripe, and you can book the ticket and pay the ticket all in the app in a very smooth experience, which of course increases the trust of the user, and therefore the frequency of use. Because you have not only the advantage of a good recommendation and a good experience, but you have also the easy way to do it.
In terms of where are you standing today? What's the stage of the company?
Actually, we have worked pretty hard. You can imagine this is a new way of thinking the internet. As I was saying before, not the user going to the internet, but it's the internet coming to the user. So, and taking into account, what is called a sentient artificial intelligence, it's not an easy task. Huge companies like Google and Facebook work on it. It has many challenges. So we invested the first 2 years of our company in setting up the business. What we did, my previous experience with my previous company, to build something, to test it in the market, tune it and tweak it, then test it again, develop further, and so on and so on. So this took 2.5 years. We started go to market with, I would call it, market tests mid of 2020. We started with the American market as the target market, whereas Easy is very scalable and modular, and we can extend it given that the data are there everywhere. And we take the data, we don't curate data, it's the algorithm that curate the data. So therefore, TripAdvisor is in Europe, as well in the US, as well in India. So we have the interface to TripAdvisor, and we can we have the profile of the user. So we can theoretically, but also practically, always make the recommendations and extend the coverage, market coverage, very easily. So this we did 2020, we tested the market. Of course, we added few features and so on. And at the moment, we have not yet ramped up, and this is exactly the point where we are staying. We are standing. In the US, we have around 120,000 registered users and around 20,000 active users per month, with 5,000 active users daily who are using the app for planning their day. So, but this is a number which is not yet a critical mass to trigger network effects, to trigger social effect, to trigger organic effect. And therefore, we are now at a point where, after having tuned and tweaked what we call our easy race car, we want now to add the fuel in order to accelerate and win the race. And this is exactly the point where we are now. We're having a fundraising where we want to invest mainly in user traction in order to create this tipping point or critical mass that then will trigger organic growth and network effects.
What's the strategy? You know better than me that that's the critical point in any company when you need to scale to move on. So after 2-3 years testing and tuning, that's the day when you need to decide and make it a big effort. What's your plan to scale?
We are looking up to 3 million. With this $3 million, we are confident, based on all the tests we have done, on the key performance indicators we have, on the key drivers that we have, that we will reach in the US 500,000 active users. This will then, as I was saying before, trigger the network. We are talking here of couples. Couples is our atomic network. Couples spend quite a lot of time together, and therefore Easy engages them a lot. But couple know also other couples. So we have a leverage in our target segment. We have a leverage for organic growth. It's a little bit like Facebook with the Ivy League colleges. We have it with the couples in large cities. So, and how do we do it? We do it, of course, with the traditional channels, which is the Meta platforms and the Google search. But on top, we have added a few other levers for acquiring users. One of this is, for example, social media accounts. We have accounts, very specific accounts for Easy, but also in the US, we have a specific account, Easy USA. In London, we have a specific account, Easy London. So we are addressing local communities or local markets by social media. And we see that we have a very strong return from this. And we see that of all the people who come to our account, 30% install the app, which is a very good organic growth. So this is one part. And here we are working together with influencers in the different markets. And this is a very good part. The other point is having the integrated payment. We can offer, freebies, advantages to the user. And for example, for any ticket or booking done over Easy, we give a 10% cashback. So this has the effect that the user not only take advantage of the smooth experience to have all in one place, but on top has the incentive, because if you buy a ticket for $100 for a concert, you get $10 back. And this, of course, has not only the effect of retention of the users and frequency of usage, but also those people will recommend to their friends or invite their friends, and therefore create an organic impact. So, and the last one is the channel of personal notifications. We are using this mainly with the base of users, of registered users. So as for any app, we are very realistic. I have experience with this with 2 companies. It's nice to have installs, but at the end, you want to have people who are using the app. So by sending very specific, given that we know the personality, the profile of the users, we know the preferences of the users. For example, for music, we are connected directly to Spotify. We have an agreement with Spotify so that we can see what are the preferences of the user for artists, concerts, and so on. And if there is a concert, for example, of an artist that the user likes, we send a PN in advance and say, look, there is this concert and you can buy the ticket direct here. And these PNs, and possibly this user is someone who installed the app, use it once, and then, of course, with all the apps you have, and given also that we are not yet a strong brand, you may forget. But by this personal communications through PNs, personal notifications, we are able to get again the users into the app, using the app with an advantage, because then you buy the ticket of the concert you were looking for a long time. And these are, this is the strategy we are following in order to achieve our targets in terms of traction.
What about the business model? Does it work?
Yeah, the business model is, also this, we think it's quite innovative because it's a transaction-based business model. It's a lead commission model. In this, we are very honest with the user. We're not trying to sell to the user anything. We are not doing advertising with the user. We are making recommendation. And if the user likes this recommendation, and this is our goal to find the best for the user, then the user will book. And as soon as the user books, we get a commission for this lead, for example, from OpenTable or from Ticketmaster or from DoorDash. And therefore, you understand, it's also a new way of having a platform, which at the very end is a social media platform, because the people there are looking at the profiles of other people, are inviting their friends, are organizing stuff with their friends, they are sharing their experiences with their friends, which is not, for the very first time, which is not based on advertising like Facebook or Instagram, for example, but is based on the satisfaction of the user. The user does things with easy, does things with the people they like. And we earn if the user is happy. So you can see that the model is, we acquired a customer at the moment under $2. The cost of acquisition of a user in the US is below $2. And this user uses easy, invites other friends. And if you, for example, this user books a ticket for a concert for, let's say, $100, we get on average 9% commission, which is $9. You see, by one single transaction, the cost of acquisition is covered. Not everyone, of course, is booking concerts, but going to a restaurant, we get 50 cents. And you see that as long as the user is happy with easy and with the recommendations of easy and is keeping using easy, at the very end, after few weeks, few months, these commission revenues are paying into the bottom line because the acquisition cost is covered. And the longer the user stays, the longer the user is with easy, and the higher the frequency of usage of easy, the higher, of course, this contribution into the bottom line.
In terms of fundraising, we've been covering, but let me ask you, what's the vision? I mean, you're an entrepreneur, you are a very successful and long-standing entrepreneur. So, but I'm pretty sure you have a big vision behind here. What's the vision?
Yeah, the vision is to make the personal internet. You know, I was telling you at the beginning, in '98, I had already this vision that the internet has to be valuable and customized to the single user. And therefore, what we have as a vision is a global platform. It's a kind, you know, it's the next step of the Googles and of the Facebooks. I'm always saying, you know, easy is the better Google, because, which is meant the productivity, individual productivity, because we are finding and making you experience something and not searching. And it's the better Facebook because you are there with your friends and you're doing stuff in real life. So the vision, it's a very ambitious one. It's, you know, changing the paradigm of the internet, using technology, using human science to extract the maximum value of the information, of the offers, of the product, of the services that are today in the internet, and bring it to the user or to their communities. So the vision is in 5 years, being all over the world, people using it as a personal assistant, waking up in the morning, listening to a recommended song under the shower, going to coffee shop with friends, organizing the evening, and you know, having a perfect weekend organized by easy. So not anymore searching, not anymore passive, but something that everyone can enjoy, and at the very end, make the people happier.
Well, maybe one day you can even translate in IoT, another way of having.
Yes.
Why not?
Yes. There are no limits. There are no limits. The sky is the limit.
Absolutely. Can we close with this very interesting conversation with how can be a strong message to investors to take part on this round?
Well, the strong message is we are doing something revolutionary. We are doing which is state of the art, using artificial intelligence and using but using it in a human way. And I think this is the next step of the internet. Everyone is talking about Web3, but as a matter of fact, we are empowering the user with this because he is not advertised anymore. He is not bombarded anymore. The user has a choice which is already optimized for them. And therefore, and the potential is huge, not only for the advantage of the user, but also from a financial point of view, because this business, as all my business in the past, has a huge potential to be very profitable with very high margin.
Nick, thank you so much for coming to BizTalk. It's been a very
Thank you, Max. It was very nice to be with you.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.